Well, YouTube, I'm stuck. I can't hardly walk in here. I'm sure you've noticed in recent videos. I'll show you here. My recent acquisition here is kind of blocking the door. I can't get my trailer out. It's got to go relatively close to the one 220-volt welder plug-in I have. I did rearrange my forging situation a little bit, but there's a lot to do yet. I mean, I've got a pathway all the way around the trailer and maybe back into that corner by the vinegar tank. And that's really all I've got. So I think today is going to be a cleanup video. I've got to do something a little more efficient with this setup here. And as awesome as this is for catching some of the grinder dust, what it doesn't catch is kind of forever lost beyond collecting on top of the shelf and, you know, everything else back there. So I think I'm going to rearrange everything completely and hopefully it works well. Try it for a while. The goal is to have possibly a row of benches and tools on this side of the building so I can walk behind it and have stuff against the wall. And the same idea on this side. And the idea being that all the fabricating machines will be on this side of the wall. Then there'll be a row of benches and stands for chop saw or whatever, drill press, that kind of thing. Then there'll be an open space for the trailer so that I can get between them, the stands to it for cutting and stuff. And then on this side there'll be blacksmithing equipment and grinding equipment for doing blades. And then the table saw and the cement mixer and lawnmower and stuff will go in the end, kind of tucked out of the way. I had to drag the table saw out because I have a rotten window in my house and the jamb was not repaired correctly. So I have to do that before it gets too cold here. So I needed that to cut the trim and stuff for the window, which it was raining, so I haven't done yet. But yeah, I've got a ton of more tools to build. Like I said, that quench tank. I'm going to take the quench tank and hang all my hammers and tongs on it so it can roll around, so that I can put basically a bunch of old freezers against the wall. That way I can put my vinegar in one with a cheap space heater and it will keep my vinegar from freezing. And another one will be my casting sand. It will keep my casting sand from freezing. And then the other freezer might go on the other side, another space heater or a light bulb idea, and it will have the welding rods and stuff that I'm not currently using in it to keep them from going bad. So I have a need for 3 junk freezers, really. The rods and sand could go in the same one. The vinegar, that's nasty. That's corrosive, given over time, of course. But yeah, I've got this no man's land of buckets. That's usable floor space. I have an oxygen tank just standing there. I should put it on the back of the welder just for safe storage because I run the CO2 from my truck anyway. But yeah. So many little hodgepodge stations and none of them to actually use because I've heard others talk about horizontal space and yeah, it is a bad thing. Anyway, time for a time lapse. Okay, I know the clutter's just as bad as before. I've got stuff to sort, but I changed everything up. Here, I'll walk through the front doors if we're coming in. So now I've got an alleyway right in the door. Got to move my press a little bit, but I have my tempering oven right here. I have a long extension cord from my welder that will reach over to the other side. Since I won't, excuse me, since I won't be using that very often, that'll work fine, and then it's out of the way. Because it's got such a short thing on the back, I had to plug it in with that anyway. But then there's my anvil. So let me switch this. Well, you can imagine I'm standing at the workstation. I'm on the other side of the anvil. So I can stand right in the middle of these three objects here, grab stuff out of the forge, use the anvil. My tongs and hammers are right there. My press will be right behind me. If I have an incident, I have a slack tub right here off the forge. And then my belt grinder is right next to the tank so that I can be forging something, watching it in the forge, and still be grinding stuff to save time. All of this is going to go away and be stored in different areas, and that's all going to be sanding belts and little flap wheels and all that kind of stuff, since this is grinding. And then all the grinder dust goes that way, and I can sweep it up instead of it piling in the corner. Now that can be used right where it's at, blowing heat into the room. This won't be touched till next summer. Then there's my table saw. I can pull out the trailer, slide this back and cut long stuff if I need to. Of course, there's the propane tank. This roll cart's moving around now. This roll cart has my buffing wheel. If I want to use my big drill press, again, it's out of the corner. I can get to it, I can clean up around it. And then here's my little drill press. I just got to turn them around so I can use them. If I want my snow blower, I just pull this out of the way and I can get my snow blower. Welding bench is the same. The plasma cutter has a long enough cord, so it went there. I minimized my buckets down to some extent. I have aluminum, copper, brass, and the unsorted, uncleaned every little bit. You know, the stuff that's going to be ingots and parts for people. And then that means with the plasma cutter moved, I can plug stuff in here easier, because everything's got to go back there. I put my spare oxygen bottle in the back of my welder. Remember, I run the CO2 from the truck, so I don't have to take the tank off the truck. That's house repair stuff, but it'll still fit in here. This is cement for an upcoming railing. This is fire clay for an upcoming forge. That's charcoal. It's got to go in the house. I don't use it out here. It's for barbecuing now. But yeah, it's that roll cart's got to find a little more permanent home. I'll be working on that. And then eventually when I get that bench cleaned off, the parts I'm working on grinding and the blueprints for the forge work will be laid on this bench. And then yeah, I can walk all the way around all my different spaces, reach all my tools. It's really nice.